Look closely at a South Korean manufacturing floor today, and you will see a level of mechanical precision that rivals science fiction. This nation operates the most highly automated economy on the planet. The density of this hardware is staggering. For every 10,000 human workers in manufacturing, there are over 1,000 industrial robots currently online, the highest ratio in the world. But as these machines multiply, the human workforce is quietly disappearing. For 4 consecutive years, South Korea has recorded steep declines in both mid-level managerial roles and simple factory labor. South Korea is deploying this hardware to fill a vacuum. This is a society feverishly building a digital workforce to replace a missing human one. As traditional employment shrinks, the only sector experiencing massive growth is elder care. South Korea is aging rapidly, shifting the burden of care onto a shrinking pool of young workers. This chart shows the root of the crisis, the nation's total fertility rate. A stable population requires a replacement rate of 2.1 children per woman. South Korea's rate has cratered to a world lowest 0.72. By projecting this data forward to 2050, the shape of the country literally caves in on itself. The base of young people vanishes entirely, leaving a heavy top of retirees supported by virtually no one. Without a new generation, factories lose their operators, offices lose their staff, and the domestic market loses the consumers needed to buy the goods those automated robotic arms produce. Automation has become the nation's emergency life support system. Without this technological surge, a country running out of people simply cannot keep its lights on. Behind the macroeconomic data are millions of individuals navigating immense pressure. South Korean urban life is defined by hyper-competitive education, extreme housing costs, and some of the longest working hours in the developed world. These structural burdens fall exceptionally hard on women. Mothers frequently face intense pressure to abandon their careers after childbirth, taking on a disproportionate share of unpaid domestic labor in households where traditional roles dominate. Decades of this systemic inequality have snapped the social contract. The frustration has materialized into an aggressive political and cultural fracture, dividing young men and women. Out of this divide emerged the 4B movement. The name translates to the 4 no's, a complete rejection of marriage, rejection of childbirth, rejection of dating, and sexual relationships with men. For its adherents, the traditional family structure is viewed as a systemic trap designed to erase their independence. Opting out entirely is seen as the only viable method of self-preservation. At 0.72, the birth rate reflects more than just a high cost of living. It represents a generation of women choosing to walk away from a social contract they find increasingly unlivable. Military and government leaders now view this demographic decline as a structural vulnerability, transforming a social trend into a matter of state survival. The academic term is securitization. South Korea officially frames the demographic collapse as a direct threat to its national security. To maintain a strong deterrent along a heavily fortified border, an army needs a constant influx of young recruits. As the birth rate plunges, the physical manpower required to secure the state simply vanishes. Because a democratic government cannot mandate its citizens to have children, the administration is left with a single defensive strategy. It must replace absent soldiers and absent workers with machines. This survival strategy is already active in the field. The military is heavily investing in unmanned drones, autonomous sentries, and force structure reorganization to compensate for the massive shortfall in human troops. Off the battlefield, the economic stakes are being measured by the country's top financial institutions, including the Bank of Korea. This chart visualizes their most catastrophic projection. If current demographic trends continue, the resulting labor shortage could wipe out 16.5% of the nation's gross domestic product by 2050. The only mechanism capable of narrowing that economic crater is extreme technological integration. By saturating the market with AI and robotics, economists hope to severely limit the financial damage of a vanishing workforce. South Korea serves as the canary in the coal mine for the developed world. Automation operates as a massive life support system for a dying population. Algorithms can assemble electric vehicles, analyze complex financial data, and patrol a demilitarized zone. but it is ultimately powerless to fix the deep social fractures that made a generation decide to stop building a future in the first place.